So you've been the number two leader in the state during a lot. Uh, we've had a lot of major scrutiny on Minnesota around justice, and then also, all of the usual things, the racial disparities that we've had, the fact that we've got to create better localized economic recovery plans coming out of the pandemic, and the climate change issues and environmental concerns we have here. So what are you most proud of in terms of the work that you have been able to do in this very difficult time?
So, sometimes the governor will look at me and he'll say, if you knew then what you know now, would you have run for this office? The answer is yes. It has been an honor to serve in this role. But I don't think we expected certainly what we have experienced both through the pandemic, but also just the racial reckoning that has been a long time coming in the state. So I will talk about the things that I am proud of. I am proud of the fact that we were able to, protect the lives of Minnesotans during a really uncertain time, making sure that we had things in place to keep folks safe. Now we have the vaccines, more of our children can get vaccinated, and it feels like we're in a hopeful time. I'm proud of the translation work, frankly, that we did to make sure that our communities of color, our immigrant communities, were getting the information that they needed in the way that they needed it. Our community and resiliency and recovery work group, that a lot of that work and how we've done that work in community has now continued on beyond a response to the pandemic, but just how we do work here in Minnesota. I know that there are things legislatively, even though we're dealing with all of these things that have been difficult, we have some pretty significant accomplishments, like the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women's Task Force, and now the creation of the office, our Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives Office. That I think led to the work around the Missing and Murdered African American Women's Task Force that Representative Richardson has just been a powerhouse behind leading that work. The Healthy Start Act, and making sure that our mothers who are incarcerated have what they need to have healthy babies, but then have opportunities, right, to be able to be with their child, because we know that that's good for moms and it's good for babies and development. And was able to work on that with Representative Becker Finn. The Dignity in Childbirth Act, looking at just our outcomes for our mothers of color. And then something that I'm very proud of is the increase, the first time in 33 years, to the Minnesota Family Investment Program, to MFIP. There hadn't been an increase since my family was on MFIP when I was a first grader in Mrs. Hollenbeck's class, right? So that mattered. And then we just got a cost of living adjustment. We are starting to see the scaffolding that is being built and the things that we are moving and what's possible. And while it hasn't all passed yet, I am proud of this budget that we put together, because it is, the governor and I often talk about that children and families don't come in pieces. And so we tried to have a comprehensive approach, and also that budgets are moral documents, and have tried to make sure that's reflected too. There's always more work to do, but I want to make sure, and I appreciate this question because things can feel like a slog and sort of overwhelming. And it's important for us to celebrate those wins so that we sustain ourselves and we keep doing this work.